Cello all, Stacey the Black Feather Intuitive. Welcome to Demystify the Divine. So excited to be connecting with you guys this week. And what a doozy of a week it is. Happy new moon, happy solar eclipse, and tomorrow, or like within the next 36 hours, also happy Mercury retrograde. So the universe is packing a punch. And I thought today, to start out with our message for our new format, that I would ask a couple of questions and just kind of tune in and see what I get around. So our first question is going to be, what is this solar eclipse teaching us as a collective, and how can we support and nurture ourselves during this deep release? So I'm going to tune in with those particular questions, but I wanted to just kind of talk about a little bit about what this all means. And, keep in mind, I am no astrologer. So this is my novice astrology understanding. And I understand a little bit about, the moon cycles and all the rest of it, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert either. So this is just me intuiting and me just like you going, what the F? Like, what does this all mean? And why is there such a, why is everybody talking about it all? So solar eclipses are big deals energetically. And solar eclipse in particular signifies, because it's fire, right? It signifies big endings. And it's big endings, things needing to be burned to the ground so that we can, in essence, like the phoenix, rise from the ashes and create something new. It's often big endings. It's often endings that are sudden. Sometimes it's endings that are unexpected. If there's anything that's in the process of an ending, 100% that is gone. That's going to be whooshed right out. And the thing with solar eclipses as well, especially this one, everything is happening in triple time. It's super fast, super quick. This is also a really potent time with your thoughts. So we want to be really, really careful. And I've been doing my own work on this for a few days, because I've been kind of in the soup. I talked a lot about the soup last year. I'm kind of back in the soup a little bit. I'm on the surface of the soup. I'm not fully in, but I'm on the surface. And so I'm struggling, like I'm sure a lot of you are, to keep the vibration high, to understand what it all means. And, looking at this solar eclipse and what it's bringing to the collective, and then what it's also bringing to me based on my own chart, I'm going, oh, can I handle it? I've had enough. I've had all I can stands, and I can't stands no more. And at the same time, I say that and I laugh, and so does my team laugh, because of course, what else am I going to do? I'm here. We have to sort of navigate through it, right? So that's kind of what this is all about. So there is the solar eclipse, is understanding that for the next 6 months, and actually some astrologers have said that this is opening a window for the next year and a half. I'd like to just think it's 6 months, because that just is a little easier for me to stomach and swallow and digest right now. But if it's a year and a half or a year and 3 months or whatever it is, I guess so be it, right? It is what it is. We are going to be seeing a lot of endings, conclusions. We are seeing things, structures being burned to the ground. We're seeing things in our lives, anything in our life that is hanging on by a thread, anything in our life that is not serving us directly and specifically in, towards the goals that we are currently working with and working in. Solar eclipse is going to burn that away. So better to know than to be blindsided, right? Is what I say. Now, we also have new moon. And what is new moon all about? New moon is about, okay, we're starting a new cycle. We're stepping into the waxing cycle of things. We're working up to the full moon energy. So new moon is about, what am I beginning? What am I starting right now? What am I completing from the previous cycle? What energy and attention am I putting into things? What am I investing my energy into? What am I working towards to get completion? Full moon is the absolute completion piece. It's kind of the peak of things, and then we move into sort of more the waning phase, which is more of a review. You might still be doing a lot of action oriented things, but it's really in a review process. You're settling down and settling in and preparing for the next cycle. So we are in a let's prepare to amp up, to wind up. So you've got that energy on top of the solar eclipse where everything's getting burned to the ground, right? Or burned up, or you might feel extremely energized. This is another thing to keep in mind over the next few months is feeling like the urging, the calling, the necessity, almost an obsession to move, to shift, to do something. You might find an obsession around a particular subject matter that you don't know why, but you can't seem to get enough of that, or you can't seem to put it down or to put it away or to stop talking about it or thinking about it. This is all connected to that solar energy as well, because the soul is activated during this time, right? We're burning away so that we can get more of the soul's joy into our life path. And then we have Mercury retrograde. Yay. And for those of you who are earth signs, it's going to be particularly interesting, this particular retrograde. And for those of you who, I just had it in my head and I lost it, earth signs, but also, where it lands in your chart. So where it falls in your chart is, I want to say, going to be of extreme importance for you to review that. For me, being a Virgo and the way my chart is, it falls in my 8th house. So money, debt, other people's money, relationships, sex. I'm like, oh, okay, great, fantastic. Let's just tear it all down. let's just tear it all down. Kick me while I'm down. Why don't you? But there we go. So as a Virgo, that's kind of, and based on my chart, that's what I kind of have to look forward to. But there are a ton of videos on YouTube that you can watch and get some of this information for yourself. But I thought it was worth taking a few minutes to highlight that, to lay that out for you guys, because not everybody follows all of this stuff, and yet we're all affected by it, right? We're all under the same umbrella. We're all living in the same energy. And so we're all going to be affected. So I'm going to just tune in. Like I said, the first question that I thought I would just sort of tune in and ask about and get some information on for all of us is, what is this solar eclipse teaching us as a collective at this time? So I'm just going to go into my happy place and see what comes through. Patience and perseverance. A new way to look at things coming out of what they're showing me is like no option. So it's not that they're saying we don't have a choice, but it's kind of like they're saying we don't have a choice based on the trajectory. The choice has already been made. And now the things that are happening, the things that are occurring and shifting are happening as a result of the original choice made. What is that original choice? That original choice is our decision consciously as a collective to no longer, do the world wars and kill each other and bomb each other off the planet. It's to move into that love-based frequency, new earth energy versus the fear-based frequency, the old earth energy that we're in. So the patience and the perseverance is important for us because we are learning that we don't have an option other than to move forward and to build new. And I keep hearing this slogan, and I think it's a political slogan, build back better. That's not what we're doing here. We're not building back better. There's no going backwards for us at this time. It is about the collective moving forwards. And we have the opportunity in this solar eclipse, when things are burning to the ground, when you notice something shifting, burning out of existence in your life, look at it from the perspective of, okay, it's interesting that this is what's going. So what is it that's coming in its place? Why is this the thing that is burning away? You want to kind of get to the why. You want to get to the heart of the matter, which with each of those things. And for a lot of people, it's going to be relationships that cannot be sustained healthfully as we're moving forward. This can be friendships, this can be romantic partnerships, this can be work relationships, and a relationship with your work. So, the work that you do, your career, or the actual job, not the people, but the job itself. Um, Family, familial relationships. Um, there's a real energy with this solar eclipse that is about focusing on health and welfare. And to be honest, if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. Health is the foundation. So it makes sense to me as this is coming through that the focus needs to be on health. So some of these relationships that go by the wayside, it's because they're not actually healthy. They're not healthy for you, and they're not healthy for the other person. Even if these relationships are ones that you're choosing to step back from, because you feel that you have to give too much. In some instances, it's understanding giving too much isn't healthy for that person to receive all of that either, because it's stopping them from their own growth. So I'm also hearing that it's going to be a hard line with a lot of these things that are burning away. The hard line meaning, again, we can't go backwards, nor do we want to go backwards. I'm hearing that's really important. We don't want to go backwards. Why would we want something that's connected to what is shifting and changing? Like, why would we want something old? It wouldn't fit anyway. It's like taking an old car part and putting it into a new vehicle. I mean, it's only going to last so long, and it's going to burn out because it's not compatible with the other parts of the engine or the car, or whatever it is. It's the same concept, and that's what they're really wanting to kind of drive the point home, is that we are officially in a new energy and a new frequency. And some of us still, because there's so much of this and we can't quite, be tangible with the energy all the time, we still run home to mama, right? We go back to what we know. What is that saying? The devil you know versus the devil you don't, right? A lot of people are scared of the unknown, but we are in a time where it is all unknown, all of it. So embrace the unknown, accept we don't know what's happening, but that's the beauty of it. We don't know because we get to create it. So if I don't know, I go right away to my envisioning ability, and I envision how I want this to turn out. That is what we want to create. That is what the solar eclipse is teaching all of us as a collective. It's burning stuff to the ground so that we can all dive into the ability to create the new. And from that collective perspective, the collective conscious, we can all tap into that. Yes, we all have different versions of what we see. We may even have disparate versions of what we see, but in that collective consciousness, all can be, the potential can become, all can be birthed, and it's all leaning into the new. It's all got that new, fresh energy. And those who are really stuck in the old are not watching things like this. So it's up to us to be able to maximize. I want to say we're the trailblazers, right? We get to maximize. We don't have to share it with the whole world. We just need to use that energy and make it work for us on behalf of the whole world, if that makes sense. How can we support and nurture ourselves during this deep release? This is really important, because when things get burned away, it doesn't always go the way we think it's supposed to go. And sometimes the things that get burned away are the things that we don't expect. So it's one thing to say, oh, you're giving me a choice. I have to get rid of something out of all of these things. Well, okay, I'm going to go to my junk drawer, the drawer that I never look at or use, and I'm going to throw some stuff out and say, okay, everything else that I'm attached to is mine. So I don't have to worry about that. The universe doesn't work that way. And the eclipses certainly don't work that way. In fact, anything that you have too much attachment to can cause you problems, can cause you grief, can cause you pain in the end. So that's definitely going to go, because it's not of that higher vibration and frequency. So focus on attachment versus attachment, right? Um, I like non-attachment over detachment. Detachment is a different thing. Detaching from something unhealthy, an addiction or someone unhealthy. There are times when we need to completely detach and remove ourselves and our energy from that experience, environment, or person. But most of the time, it's about non-attachment. I don't own anything. I'm not attached to anything, and therefore I'm entitled to experience everything that crosses my path without attaching a time frame to it. And therefore I can embrace and enjoy it for however long I have it. I can be present and focused and experience that shift and that change based on that experience. And whenever it's ready to go on to give an experience to someone else, I release it with love and gratitude for how it's changed me. And I get excited about what is coming in its place. So, non attachment. How can we support and nurture ourselves during this deep release? Shifting out of attachment. As soon as we attach ourselves to something, I was just talking about this with a client today. As soon as we attach ourselves to something, we take ownership and possession. This is mine. It implies right away that someone can take it away from me. If I lose it, if it's stolen, if it gets taken away from me and it goes away, that creates pain. There's grief and loss. So we set ourselves up for that when we say, this is mine, I own it, and I want to keep it for myself. So non-attachment is I'm grateful to have the opportunity to utilize this, to own this, to step in. I feel like that's how we can really support and nurture ourselves during this deep release, is working on non-attachment. And when you do have a release, when you do recognize that there's something or someone that is shifting out of your life, out of your day to day, it's important for you to honor it, to acknowledge it, to celebrate it. You guys know I'm a big fan of celebrating every day, finding some reason every single day to celebrate as though it's a special day, because it is a special day. When you're releasing something, it's honoring it. I'm hearing in my mind, years ago when I was growing up, everything was about a funeral. When someone died, it was a funeral. A lot of tears, a lot of mourning, a lot of crying over the casket, a lot of pomp and circumstance around it. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but you notice more and more today, there are celebrations of life. There are memorials. Why is that? Part of it happens, I think, because of money, because funerals are extremely expensive and a lot of people choose, a different option. People live all over the planet, and it, no longer is really feasible for people to come in all at one time, in quick succession in a couple of days. So you schedule a, celebration of life or a memorial service when everybody has time to plan, and then they can be there to acknowledge the loss of the person or the life of the person, right? So we need to be doing that for the things in our lives that the solar eclipse is burning away, because a celebration of life, and I'm hearing this in my mind, a lot of these memorials and celebrations of life, people plant trees. So there's something new that's growing, new life being put in that place. Acknowledging the pain, acknowledging what you're saying goodbye to, but also giving yourself permission to get excited about what is coming in. That is exactly how we can nurture ourselves over this next 6 months or year and a half, depending on who you're talking to and what the astrology looks like. And really taking time to not dwell in the lower vibrational energy. I mean, pain is pain, sorrow is sorrow, grief is grief. It is what it is. And we can choose to feel it and acknowledge it, and then we can choose to shift into a different path, even if it's for 30 seconds every day, out of every day when you're going through like a major grief or loss, right? So I feel like they're trying to teach us, our guides are trying to teach us a new way to appreciate life. And if we're holding on to everything and thinking that it all has to stay the same all the time, That creates a lot of grief and angst, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of stress. They're encouraging us to see it all as fluid. You have access to all of it and none of it all at the same time. So what will you do with it? It makes it more meaningful. It makes it more impactful. I hope that makes some sense. Okay, Keone. Let's do some readings.
All right, let's get some readings. And the first person we have is Try Red asking, can you do a reading for him?
Sure. So he wants a pull, and I don't have. Oh, actually, no, I do have a card here. I was going to say I don't have a card deck, but I have my Sacred Creators, so I'll do a card pull. All right, Try. I feel like this week is kind of a heavier week for you. I feel like you've got a lot of stuff on your plate, a lot of scheduling, like overscheduled, or what you think is the schedule and the way things are going to go down is not exactly how it's going. So I would say to you, throw out the schedule and kind of really step into a space of being in flow, accepting that there are a lot of people right now who are needing a lot of your time. I keep seeing you looking at a book and turning the page, and I feel like this is symbolic. Whatever is going on this week, I feel like it is kind of part of all of this, what we're talking about with clearing out of things. It's kind of like you're turning a page, but in order to turn the page, you have to kind of like, you got to finish reading the whole page before you turn the page into something else. So I definitely am feeling that you are after this week, not this week, but after this week, you're kind of turning the page. You're getting finally to the next part of the story. I feel like you've been stuck on the same page for a little while, and it's kind of like Groundhog Day, and you're like, oh my God, like, when is it going to be over? I feel like after this week, after all of this crazy scheduling and people needing you and being pulled in a bunch of different directions, there's going to be that, okay, you've turned the page or you've turned the corner. Oh, here's your card. Bliss is worth creating from/for/from. So bliss is worth creating from. This is really interesting because I'm hearing that the word bliss for you is hard to touch, hard to conceptualize within yourself. And I'm not going to say to you, you've never experienced bliss, because I believe we all have experienced bliss. It's just not it's not a feeling that a lot of people talk about. It's not something that we bring up a lot in regular conversation, because quite frankly, there aren't a lot of situations out and about in the world where that bliss is readily available, I guess is how we could say it. Now, my guides are kind of shouting from the rooftops right now and saying that's inaccurate. Bliss is, you can find bliss within yourself. And I'm going to say, okay, yeah, that's true. Just like we can choose happy and we can choose joy, and it all comes from within. And I totally believe that. And I'm going to say to the dream team, a lot of us have not actually experienced the true meaning of bliss. We understand joyful moments. We understand happy, but do you understand bliss? I mean, that takes it to a whole new level. So I feel like for you this week, it's important to set aside some time to explore what bliss is to you. And just because I'm a foodie, I equate everything to food, but you can equate it to something that really brings you, I want to say, a lot of joy. And for me, it would be some kind of food thing. So right away, I'm thinking bliss. I'm thinking chocolate and raspberries. I'm thinking fondue. I'm thinking caramel. I'm thinking shortbread cookies, right? And having a little sort of a taste of that, maybe in a nice romantic setting or with some really cool music, with some great conversation going on. And just, it's like the perfect moment. It's bliss. Right? So take time out this week to explore what bliss means for you. Create your own definition of bliss, because once you've experienced it, you can recreate it, right? And it's worth creating from. When we create from bliss, again, it's that next level. It's even a next level above joy. It's a next level above happiness. So I already know what I can create from joy when I'm able to sort of lock myself into that frequency. I can only imagine what I'd be able to create from bliss. So hope that makes some sense to you. Thanks so much for submitting your question.
All right, we're going to have I'm sorry, and everybody, I said card pull by accident. We're having a reading for Ragu.
Hey, Ragu. So nice to see you.
Hi, Stacy. How are you? Good
I'm
to see you
doing great.
too. Yoni.
What's
I'm
been
sorry.
going on?
I actually pulled a card for myself.
Fantastic. Let's see it. Okay, you're gonna have to read it to me. Rhiannon, I think it says.
Yes, Rhiannon Sorceress. It says, I'm actually a little bit confused of what it means in the context of solar eclipse. You are a magical person who can manifest your clear intentions into reality.
Oh, well, that makes
Aren't
perfect
we
sense.
all?
So if we're talking about the solar eclipse, what it's saying to you is hold fast to your vision. So there's a lot of stuff that's burning away, but then it's also part of the solar eclipse is the beginning of it. We burn stuff away. And then the second half of the solar eclipse is what is coming in, the gifts that come in because the space is made. So if you're magical, what they're saying is they're wanting you to hold on to the vision of what you want to create, because that is the gift that's going to come in when the slate is cleared, when everything is gone. And you said it was sorceress?
Yes.
So
Rhiannon Sorceress.
It's that energy for you, Ragu, of alchemy, turning that lead into gold, taking the energy of the sun, right? The solar eclipse. So it's an absence of the sun. And then all of a sudden the sun comes out and it burns bright again, right? Like it's
Right.
We take it for granted. And now with it gone, we watch complete and total darkness. We experience the vulnerability of that. And then the sun comes out, right? And it feels like it shines even brighter than before. There's an appreciation, as well as the fact that it's burning everything away, right? It's a reminder of our vulnerability. I always like to say the movie from Contact, Jodie Foster, she says, we are all small and insignificant and rare and precious, kind of all at the same time. So for you, I feel like the card is, in terms of the solar eclipse, it's really talking about focus on what you're creating, because you're getting ready to have a wider slate. Imagine yourself as a painter, and you start off with just little, the little tiny square canvases that you do a little sketch, or you do one little object on there, or maybe it's just a color. And then someone comes around and says, you know what, I actually would like you to do something a little bit bigger for me. And they give you like an 8x11 kind of canvas. And you're like, ooh, I have so much more room to create on this. And then someone comes around and says, you know what, I want you to do a whole wall landscape for me. And you're like, okay, well, this is going to take me a while, but oh my God, like the inspiration is endless, right? Because you've got so much room and you can do a number of different concepts because there's so much room to create. You want to think about that. That's what that card is about. You're going to have so much more room to create. So focus on what it is you want to create. Focus on what's going to come as a result of the solar eclipse. Does that make sense, the way I'm explaining that?
Yeah, thank you for the explanation.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming on. Is Indu there? Let me see the hand.
Hi, I see the hand.
Hi, Keone.
Hi, Keone.
So great to see you guys tonight. Thanks so much for coming on.
Bye.
All right, we have a couple of readings in the queue. So let's go ahead. Sue Roush would like a reading.
Okay. So Sue, I'm going to pull a card for you. And I know you had texted me or DM'd me, I should say. You're having a bit of a rough time with some health and some other things that are going on. So Yeah, I feel you. There are so many people right now that are going through a lot, and we have had, astrologically, we've had a lot of focus on health. So it's not surprising that a lot of people, myself included, it's one of the reasons why I went to every other week for this show, to try and conserve my energy and just sort of find my footing. And I know, I mean, I'm still taking clients every single day, and I know that a lot of people are going through that. So my heart goes out to you, and not saying this to minimize what you're experiencing. I'm saying it to offer some camaraderie, especially with, when we have, health issues. Sometimes in this country, in the United States anyway, can equate to financial issue as well. And I'm running into that, when you pay for your insurance and you think you're covered, and then there's some kind of catastrophic event, or there's an event that was unplanned and it requires more medical, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, this is really expensive, right? It's really expensive to take care of myself. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, people say we don't even have the money for that, so we're not going to take care of ourselves, or we're going to wait, we're going to delay. So I totally get that that frustration and that fear and that stress of having kind of, I say it's the double whammy. It's like you get kicked when you're down. So the card that I pulled for you is fearless expression. And so I'm feeling like for you, this particular time, you want to really make sure that you are verbalizing or writing out the angst, the anger, the fear, the rage, the sadness, the frustration. You want to get it out of the body. I'm hearing that holding it in is actually, holding in the stress is actually exacerbating the health journey that the body is on. And I feel like your body wants to kind of redo itself, is what I'm hearing. It's almost like so kind of like what we're talking about, out with the old and in with the new, right? But the process of it can be really jarring and uncomfortable. So as your body is sort of like recreating itself or rewiring itself, it's important that you not stuff and ignore what you're feeling, but you want to release it in a healthy way. As I said earlier, with the solar eclipse going on right now, there's also this heightened, like, thoughts become things so much more quickly. And so if you're expressing pain and frustration and anger, and you're doing it in a way that you're repeating it, you're actually manifesting more of it, right? Like you're manifesting the need to process it more before you can release it. So I feel like for you, it's fearlessly expressing it in one way that then you don't talk about it again. You don't express it again, or you don't verbalize it out in the world. And what I'm seeing for you is burning ceremony. I did a YouTube short on that earlier this week too. I just keep getting a lot of burning ceremony stuff. Write it out on tissue and then burn it, because it does need to get out of the body. I'm also feeling like there's someone in your vicinity that is bip, 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 bip. And it's like you need to it's bothering you. Like I feel like it's too much. And there's a part of you, it's been going on for a while. There's a part of you that just kind of endures it, but you're not recognizing that you're taking it in. It's like you're not blocking it. You're absorbing it. You're taking it in. So you think that you're just ignoring it, but you're actually receiving it. So I'm feeling like you might want to do a bit of a cleanse around this particular person, or maybe even consider not spending as much time with this person. When they start talking, you change the subject. Limit the amount of time with this person, because they have no problems expressing how they feel about everyone and everything around them. And how they feel is a bit on the negative side. And I feel like that's creating, it's wreaking some havoc in your, I feel like in your adrenal system. It's creating more fight or flight. It's creating more anxiety and more sort of survival mode tactics, and you're just like, I'm just trying to shut it off. Like, I'm just trying to not listen to it. But energetically, you're receiving it. It makes sense if you're feeling a bit under the weather, because energetically, you're having a harder time, sort of keeping other things at bay. It's like the immune system. When there is something that the immune system is fighting, it can really only target one area at a time. That's the main focus. And everything else just kind of goes into a standby mode or a maintenance mode, because, this is the 4-alarm fire. So you want to release that. You want to not have that be the focus. So I hope that makes some sense to you. It's also a 55. So that's really powerful, because it is about change. It's about shift. And it's big shift that's happening in your life right now. I mean, duh, right? We all, you don't need to be psychic to know that, right? Everybody's going through some level of shift. But for you in particular, all of this is at its heightened peak, because it's the biggest part of the transformation. And when you're on the other side of this hill or on the other side of this tunnel, it's going to make so much more sense, I guess is how I would describe that. So sending you love. I'm sure that everyone in watching the video is sending love as well, and support. So many of us are, really, really caught in that soup of things. So you're not alone. Not that makes it any easier to deal with, but you aren't alone. There are many who I feel have compassion for your situation, because they also understand it on their own level. So sending lots of love. All right, Keone, I'll take one more today.
One more. All right. I put them in, and since there's more than 3 requests, and I randomly picked them instead of doing them in order now, because it'll always be the first 3 people, so it kind of makes it fair. All right, here we go. And RC said, I would like a reading if possible. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, RC, tapping into your energy. Getting a lot of green and red for you. I'm feeling a lot of heart-related stuff coming up for you in the next little while. Feeling like that heart stuff is about expansiveness in the heart. But that expansiveness, I keep hearing it's coming at a cost, or it's coming at a price. It's an interesting way for them to put it. I feel like the red is sort of the cost. So, you're expanding on a heart level, and not everyone around you is going to, I want to say, be appreciative of the growth of the heart level expansion. Whenever we grow in certain ways, there typically is going to be at least one person around us that either just doesn't get it, or you growing means that they have to be a little more responsible for something that you've been doing for them, up to this point. And you're saying, what, I can't do that for you anymore, because I have to, put a little more time in for me, or reserve that energy for myself. And then people get upset about that, right? So there's a bit of a distancing. So I feel like the heart expansion is going to come at a price, but the reward on the other side of it is going to be connection with self, a deeper connection and a deeper understanding within yourself, which is what you kind of have been craving for a while. You've been really needing that. It's almost like you've been kind of slightly misaligned for a while, and you've been feeling the misalignment, and every once in a while you kind of touch upon, but it hasn't really locked into place. And that's what I feel you're working on at this time, is the alignment. And the alignment is going to come up for you, I want to say, within the next month or so. You're going to feel sort of, I want to say, that everything is sort of shifted into place. And what you're getting as a result of this heart expansion is the gift of, I'm hearing your healer coming full force, or having the ability to open and expand in a way that you've only dreamed about, but never really thought was completely possible. I also keep feeling a lot of stuff with the hands, buzzing with the hands. Often that indicates like Reiki or energy healing work, energy modality. But for some reason, I feel like that's not necessarily the road that you're on. but I'm feeling and seeing sort of tingling in the hands. So maybe that is something that you're opening to during this heart opening. That the heart opening is the energy that you're funneling, and it's not only going to funnel from the heart, but it's eventually going to funnel from the hands as well. So I'm not really sure why I'm sort of getting that, but I definitely feel like that's kind of what the energy of what you're sitting in. I know it's a bit esoteric in its reading, not very specific to sort of the 3D stuff that we're doing, but I feel like there's this is coming through for you because all of the other 3D stuff kind of, it's like none of it matters until this gets, that the heart expansion kind of gets realized, gets locked in or activated. When it's there, you're going to have extra power, extra charge to be able to handle the 3D stuff, you know, to be able to handle the drama or the nonsense and shenaniganery of living our lives, you know, and having to do the third dimensional dishes and laundry, right? The problems that come up with our loved ones. So it's all about the heart and the heart expansion. And there is a cost, but then there's also just a huge gain. And when you come onto the other side of this, you're going to have a perspective about yourself and your path that I keep seeing you as a child, knowing that about yourself and being connected to that as a child, but losing it along the way. And all of a sudden the connection comes back. And I feel like it's really a complete realization of who you are at your core. It's kind of like who we are outside of the meat suit, right? Who am I as a soul? What has my soul come here? What has my soul come here to do? What did my soul come in with that I'm not accessing fully as me right now? So that feels really powerful. I keep getting like a month. Now, don't get too hung up on timing. Our timing and divine timing are often two different things, but I'm feeling that all of this is sort of shifting between now and a month from now. Things are going to look very, very different for you. So thank you so much. I hope that resonates and that is helpful. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on and tuning in. So grateful to have connected with you today, to be able to do some readings. I just want to say that if you are not a member of my my newsletter, go on my website and sign up for my newsletter, because I have a special offering that you can only get if you are a part of my newsletter tribe or my newsletter family. We call them the Black Feather family. It's called Amplify Your Vision. And it's a really cool, exclusive VIP service that is only being offered to the email list. And I've already done several of them, and it just got released a couple of days ago. People are loving them. And I have to say, I'm loving doing them. So it's a curated reading that I did based on, that I kind of put together based on how we can amplify our vision, how we can stay focused. That was the theme for this month for us from the guides, from the collective. My collective, my Council of Truth, came through and said, this is the theme for April. And yeah, it's been really exciting. It's exciting for me to do, and the response has been wonderful as well. So check it out. Otherwise, you guys have the most amazing week. I'm going to say be well, be safe. Don't get too hung up on all the solar eclipse stuff. Be gentle with yourselves. And, you know, we're all on this wild ride called life together. So reach out if you need help. But we're all here to help each other out. Thank you so much. And thank you, Keone, for coming on and producing the show. Like, subscribe, and click the bell on the YouTube.